Well, the end of day 5, 82 miles, and it's been a day of contrasts, quite diverse and unexpected contrasts. It's been first of all a lovely sunny and warm day, and that's been fantastic. It's been a joy, certainly when I cycled from Shropshire into Cheshire and have ended up in Lancashire, where I'm staying with a friend, a professional peer, Amanda Clark, who's been a fantastic hostess, so generous, cooked a 3-course meal with her housemates as well, who've been wonderful company. She took me to see a physio, also called Seán, and I'll explain why in a second. And it started off as a beautiful morning, cycled off, and I realised my brakes still weren't working. When I checked, I thought actually they weren't working because it had been so intensely wet yesterday. Wetness, a lot of biblical proportions. It wasn't that. In fact, the cables had stretched. Now, interestingly, I had a major service on the bike just before I came up. Started this expedition, Operation Loose Lycra. And they said, oh, we've stretched the cables properly. Oh, no, they won't stretch. The reason the brakes weren't working because the cables had stretched, and the brake pads really weren't hitting the wheels at all, which made my life somewhat precarious and dangerous. I think they must have stretched them in the bicycle shop with either a pair of eyebrow tweezers or even their teeth, their front teeth. So I stretched it all as well. The brakes now work, which is really good. And off I set. But the problem was, I was in a lot of pain. My left knee in particular was in a lot of pain. Every time I put even the remotest pressure on it when I was pedaling on my left side, obviously, I couldn't do it. It was incredibly painful. And I sort of soldiered on at an incredibly slow pace, hoping the pain would go away. I even popped into a supermarket that was open to buy some painkillers, and it took a good hour and a half for the pain to subside. And going up hills was excruciating, and I was actually concerned at one point. I'd done about 8 or 9 miles that I couldn't go any further, that I was doing more damage than I should be doing, and the fact that I might even have to contemplate pulling out because I didn't know what was wrong with my knee. And I know I'm putting under my body and certainly my lower half under a lot of pressure every day cycling, about 80 miles in some pretty tough conditions and over some tough terrain. And that was really, that made me feel really low. I didn't want to give up. So I soldiered on and slowly got better. It took 2 or 3 hours for the sort of pain to generally go away. But even so, throughout the day, if I came across a hill, which luckily didn't happen until the end in Lancashire, then I could feel it on my knee, certainly my left knee. And in fact, Amanda very kindly, I texted her and they said, look, I need a physio or a chiropractor. She arranged one, also called Seán. Sadly, his bedside manner is very different to mine. He looked at me, he fiddled around with my feet and my knees. He said, basically, functionally, you're screwed. Screwed wasn't the word he used. The word he used was, to go with functionally, was, well, it rhymes with plucked. And he looked at me as if to say, well, that's it. And I thought, well, that's not very helpful. He said, oh, you can still do it. Anyway, he's apparently I have a flat plate issue, which is not really a winner. And but he strapped me up. There's a particular way he strapped me up. It was very particular. He showed me, and we've taken pictures and everything else. So I have to strap myself up every single day in a particular way to stop my left knee flat plate from pinching the nerve, which it does every time, or was doing every time I saddle, I pedalled along. So that's good. I'm glad I dropped in to see him despite his exorbitant price and bad bedside manner. But hopefully, apparently, he's going to be the next big thing in knee pain, and can't wait to write a paper on it. So obviously, it's going to be right up there with what's in Ostrich News and such other great publications. Be that as it may, I'm glad I went to see him. Now, I talked about a day of contrasts. Beautiful cycling through Shropshire and Cheshire, and looking. It was all very bucolic. It was the trip and adventure I'd imagined it would be and wanted to be, not taking into account how the weather might be and certainly has been and could well be at different parts of the remainder of this trip. But then in Salford, about 15 miles from my destination, where I am at the moment, and I haven't had a flat tyre for more than 7 years. Last time I had a flat tyre was going down a really steep, rocky path on the South Downs. My dear friend Harriet, and I was on a mountain bike. and I've cycled a lot since then over all sorts of terrain. I'm very careful about the road and looking for sharp, nasty objects. And then suddenly I got a flat tyre. It just happened. I thought, sod's law, outside a car tyre fitting place of all places. And what happened? I found that was one, but there were two holes in the tyre. And I haven't changed a tyre for so long, and therefore I was a bit out of practice, so it took longer than I expected, and was eating into my timetable. Anyway, I set the bike up, loaded everything on. It's quite a performance to get everything on the right order and the right way. And I was about to set off, and the back tyre went flat again. I thought, oh, bloody hell, what's going on now? So I took everything apart, everything off, and found there was a third puncture. So 3 punctures in one incident, and sorted that out, and now it's fine. But what a performance. So I was there for ages and delayed me. But end of the day, Amanda's been a fantastic hostess, a wonderful 3-course meal, including a beautiful cake, homemade cottage pie, homemade soup, tasty bread and butter, grape juice, which as a teetotaler is my kind of amber nectar, great chat, chomping and chortling in great company, and I've been made to feel so welcome, and it's good spending time with friends and being looked after so well. And I've even been able to wash all my kit for the first time in days, in a proper washing machine, as opposed to in a sink somewhere and hoping it will not smell too bad in the morning once it's dried, if it dries. So my knee is okay, it seems, because at one point I thought I wasn't going to be able to carry on. I'm going to carry on, and I'm up tomorrow to the Lake District, where it should be quite hilly. I haven't got quite so far to do, in theory, but here's to another adventure tomorrow morning.